Welcome back, everyone, to the Virtual Design Master. Today is our special episode. This is kind of a sneaky surprise that we put in. One of the things that we wanted to do here at the Virtual Design Master was not only talk about the folks that are moving through the challenges and highlight the skills and designs that are going on there, but we were very excited to be able to have great support from our sponsors. And in fact, we've reached into the prize closet. And now we opened up the opportunity for some of our previous competitors in order to put together something that was kind of a fun idea. Because we're not all about work here. We do enjoy some good playtime as well. Now, of course, we're here with our usual suspects. We have Angelo Luciani. We have our creative director and well-known creator of Evil, Melissa Palmer here. We actually have by audio only, unfortunately. We have Jonathan Frapp here. Welcome back, sir. This is our first chance to bring you back into the fold here. So, how's it feel to be back in the live broadcast again?
I'm not going to lie, it feels pretty good knowing I don't have to defend anything.
Lower maintenance this time. And we are a little light on our live challengers tonight because apparently we've worn them all out. So we're proud to have Seth Morgosh back with us again here. So Seth, again, you must feel a little bit easier knowing that you're not be so harsh on the defense.
Absolutely.
Well, we're definitely we're glad to have you aboard. It was really great. In fact, we really loved your design and all the designs of our other competitors here. So, again, we talked about sponsors, and that's one of the big things. We've been really impressed by, both the response from the community and folks that have come forward to help out, but as well as a great sponsor pool. So, it goes without saying that our friends at Zerto, at Bare Metal Cloud, in fact, Bare Metal Cloud is getting lots of work out right now. Are kicking the tires on a few servers and creating some cloud environments as we speak. We have Pernix Data, HP, IPSpace.net, VMware Press, who had a great little prize pack of books, which is going to help any Virtual Design Master take their stuff to the next level, as well as Veeam, Virtual Langer, and VCDX 133. We've got to send a big thank you to Renee for the grand prize, along with the Zerto Home Lab, and of course Infinio. Now, we talk about Virtual Design Master, and we've gone a little bit into the history of what it is, and we wanted to do a quick little thought on what it means to be a Virtual Design Master. As the creative team, one of the things that we like to do is, it's a bit of work, and it's also a bit of fun. But at the same time, this is a community and a learning process. So I wanted to give each of our creative folks, as well as Brian, since he's here, we're going to talk about what it means to you to be a Virtual Design Master and kind of what you think is going to come out of this for our winner. So Angelo, what do you think?
Thanks, Eric, and it's great to see Seth and Joel and Jonathan back. That's great. Yeah, what does it mean to be Virtual Design Master? I think I'm going to take a little different track here than what most people would probably expect. Not only is it important to have the technical knowledge, but I think it's more important that it's someone willing to teach and share in their role, someone willing to help others with their design solutions, and someone willing to get involved in the broader virtualization community, whether that's through vMugs, through brown bags, through social media. It's really someone that is willing to get engaged and really help, not only help others, but as they help others, I think we've heard this from all our competitors. As they help others, they're also being helped. So it's more that kind of effect that I expect from a Virtual Design Master. So and I'm happy to see it happening this season. So it's really exciting. So
exactly, Jonathan, as somebody who was with us for the first season. And we put you through the grinder in the first round, and we were very excited to have you, jump on board and help out on the creative. So, you've been through the process. So, what does it mean to you to be a Virtual Design Master? Maybe what was a bit of your experience from the first season?
I think all the things Angela mentioned about wanting to help others. I think between Akmal, myself, Joe, on season one, there was we had a lot of fun going back and forth with each other during the challenges. I know it certainly helped push me. Beyond that, I would say for me, one thing a virtual design master really needs is a desire to dive into things they don't know, because we're never going to know everything, and we're going to be presented, whether in community situations, challenges like the virtual design master, or out in the real world when we're working, there's going to be situations where we have to jump in and tackle technology that we've never worked with before, and we're going to have to get up to speed on it quickly and put time and effort in, maybe outside of the office, to learn about OpenStack or Docker or containers or message queuing and things like that. So there's definitely got to be a desire to learn and excitement about technology. Otherwise, it's just going to drag you down.
Obviously, as somebody who's been through the process and learned a lot watching what's going on, I have the same sort of views. Virtual Design Master, in what we've tried to create and what we've enjoyed, and seeing how people have evolved and grown is just that. It's about comfort zone and finding the edge of yours, and sometimes we look at the challenges we put in front of folks, and I think the term evil has been used a few times, but this is nothing that's really out of the ordinary when we think about what's going to be put in front of us when we want to sort of up our game at the office or at a client site. These are good opportunities for us to go and learn. And if we look at what's happened around the community that's growing around this event, it's a real, it's a nod to the work that's being done by the competitors and by the judges. We've got a lot of volunteer time that's going on. Jonathan highlighted that, and absolutely true. It's an unfortunate thing that it's a difficult work-life balance to find sometimes, but in order for us to really succeed personally, in our careers, it's good for us to find these opportunities, to build these communities and join these communities, and feed back into them, and then ultimately it helps us going forward. Now, Melissa, obviously you're a big part of this, and through season one, you really ultimately were responsible for how the storyline went, and whether you knew it or not, you created something amazing in the first season, and it's continued on in the second season. So, what does it mean to you to be a virtual design master?
Yeah, I think I might even have a slightly different spin, as the creative director. If you noticed, we're not VMware Design Master, we're not KVM Design Master, we're not Hyper-V Design Master, we're Virtual Design Master. A Virtual Design Master is well-versed in virtualization, from different hypervisors to application virtualization to open cloud ecosystems. We challenge our Virtual Design Masters to design it all and to have a chance to work with things that you might not get to work with on a daily basis. Virtual Design Master is all about learning and growing your virtualization skills. I know I've gotten a bit of a reputation with the challenges I've created from Virtual Design Master, but there really is a method to my madness. Like Eric mentioned, for me it all started when I had the world destroyed by zombies and made Season 1 contestants do a design with 5-year-old hardware. The crazy scenarios, the whole storyline is to force everyone out of their comfort zones and to think in a way that they might not have before. That's really what I'm going with for Virtual Design Master. New ways of thinking and growth for our challengers. Speaking of our challengers and our challenges, let's talk about that a little bit more. This is one of the ideas I came up with Eric and Angelo. We were on one of our pre-season planning hangouts before everything started, and I just knew I had to get it in here somehow. As you know, it ended up becoming the bonus challenge for our competitors that didn't make it to the final challenge. So our final 3 are all in their bare metal clouds working on what we've given them. We kind of gave everybody else a chance to come up with one last great idea. So to recap, the last version of vSphere that was released before the outbreak was vSphere 5.5, which we all know and love, especially me since I'm all in on vSphere 5.5. vSphere 5.5.5 was still under development, and we need to finish it. So it's up to our Virtual Design Masters to determine what new groundbreaking features will be released in the completely fictional vSphere 5.5.5. I know I'm going to slip up and start saying it in meetings and stuff, but there is no vSphere 5.5.5. Now, how about we go over to Angelo to guide our challengers through their defenses?
Thanks, Melissa. Yeah, and let me stress again, fictional. Very important to get that out. So we're going to start with Seth. And Seth, we're gonna just have a casual chat about your design. There's no time limit on this, so you can take as much time as you want or as little time as you want to talk about some of the features that you proposed in the new vSphere 5.5.5.
Fantastic. So the idea that I had is that as a result of the zombie apocalypse, of course, we're evacuating Earth, heading to the moon and ultimately to Mars. And one of the things that I think from season 1 into season 2, one of the things I think that we've learned is that while we think we have a handle on the zombie apocalypse, maybe we don't. And what we've learned is that having all of humanity in a single place is a recipe for disaster. It's a single point of failure. I think in my write-up I called it a single point of extinction. So we're going to become a spacefaring race. And that means that we're going to leave the inner solar system. We're going to head out into deeper and deeper space. And as a result, traditional networking isn't going to cut it anymore. The latencies are far too high. The distance is far too great. And we needed a better way to communicate. So I introduced as a new feature in vSphere 5.5.5, the fictional version, a new protocol called Qubit. And what that is a quantum ultra-wide bandwidth technology that allows us to take networking and storage networking and spread that at planetary and ultimately interstellar distances. It's based on some of the work that has already been done by NASA, the laser communications work that was done with the LADEE space probe, also work being done today with the NASA Advanced Research on quantum networking, and in fact the basis for the networking technology is actually in existence today. It's being run at I want to say Los Alamos, but it's not. Los Alamos National Laboratories. So it actually exists as a technology. Of course, we now have the impetus to spend Mr. Billionaire's dollars to develop it further.
Great, that's great. Yeah. So just so we clarify, it's called the Quantum Ultra Bandwidth IP Transport. That's the long form. Good stuff. Yeah, very creative. Great write-up. And what we'll do is when we post, we won't actually post the document on the website, but we will post a summary of all the features that people have submitted, and we'll also include some of the links that you posted that you just talked about with NASA that I think people will find pretty interesting to read. So that was great, Seth. Thank you.
Thanks.
Brian, did you have any comments on Seth's ideas?
I loved his concept. Let's face it, bandwidth is key. Google Fiber is not going to the moon anytime soon. We need another way to do it. So I loved it.
Thanks.
Good stuff. So, good job.
I would just like to throw in there that Seth knows me way too well because I was at the NASA social for the NASA LADEE launch, and I also actually saw the launch of LADEE to the moon. So I absolutely love it. And I actually met the laser communication guys, and they were all really super smart, and it's some really, really cool technology I think we're really going to see a lot from over the coming years.
Good stuff. Great. Really creative, Seth. Again, it's a great submission.
Thank you.
Great. We're going to go to Joel. And Joel, again, you can share your ideas for vSphere 5.5.5 fictional version. And there's no time limit, so you can take as much time or as little time as you like.
Great. So the concept that I had for our fictional version of vSphere 5.5.5 was kind of following on the coattails of the trend of containers. Essentially, the way that I was looking at it is that with the advent of this container technology that we're seeing, and the direction that we can see with software-defined everything, that vSphere as a platform, while it's done an amazing job with virtual machines, what I'd like to do is I'd like to see it go one step further up higher into the application stack, and really be able to manage, deploy instances, or deploy containers, I should say, and then to be able to take and leverage some of the technologies that VMware has been able to develop over the past number of years, and take those and now meld that into container technology into a way that's never been, as far as I know, has never been done before. So basically, the objective of this is to enable vSphere to manage higher up into the application stack and provide advanced container functionality. So I mean, right now we see that it's the reach of vSphere or vCenter is limited. It stops at a certain point, and then we start adding additional stacks on there, whether it be vCloud, or there's other technologies out there that we now utilize like OpenStack. Well, what's to say that we couldn't take our vCenter server and actually start leveraging the GUIs that we're used to and that sort of management interface into managing clusters, we'll call them, of containers. So I'm just going to kind of go through a few of the features that I had sort of laid out here. Basically, we could integrate or leverage existing technologies, so we don't need to completely reinvent the wheel. So for example, Docker being one of them. The ability to choose the base OS for the virtual machines, which host the containers. And for the rest of this conversation, I'm going to call these containers transports, because I just decided I have to change the lingo a little bit. And then the ability to create logical clusters, and we're going to call those a fleet, or a fleet of transports, which share similar characteristics. As you can see, a lot of this sounds like VMware clusters, and a lot of the ideas are from VMware clusters. But instead of clusters of ESX hosts, we're now talking about clusters of virtual machines which are hosting these containers. And then, to take that a little bit further, there would be integration with or extension of app HA. Maybe we call it container HA. So the ability to log in and to restart a container if we know that there's a failure. HA-enabled containers, and also one feature which I think is especially useful would be DRS, or let's call it Fleet Distributed Resource Scheduling, so FDRS. And the reason why I think that is especially key here is that right now, if we take, let's say we've got a couple of virtual machines that are running in our cloud environment or in our VMware environment, and those virtual machines are running a whole bunch of containers on them. What we don't see at the VMware level is what's actually happening within the virtual machine. We don't see the performance of those individual containers. So the idea behind this is to be able to have that additional insight into seeing how the containers are performing, and then to be able to vMotion, if you will, and move containers from VM to VM to gain additional efficiencies that we just haven't been able to get into so far. So that's kind of my idea anyway. I know maybe it shouldn't be for 5.5.5, maybe it should be 7.7.7 or something way out there in the future, but I came up with the idea over the weekend, and I thought this would be kind of a neat thing to talk about for 5.5.5, hypothetically, of course.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's great. Very creative as well. And I think folks can see so far that how creative and how much thinking you guys have put into these types of features. So that's great. So just so I can clarify for everyone, the feature name is vContainers. and it's the advanced container-like support and portability for vSphere. Is that so? That's correct, Joel?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, good. So thank you so much, Brian. You have any comments for Joel?
Containers are the next wave. It's a logical buildup. Makes a lot of sense. I think you'd be a little bit closer on the 5.5 than you would be on the 7.0. I think it's gotta show up a little bit sooner than a couple of product releases in the future. So I think you got actually a pretty good roadmap idea.
Yep. And you might want to start trademarking some of those acronyms that you came up with.
I got to get my my patent applications in.
Or some sort of Creative Commons type use, because we like to share. So that's
Exactly,
great.
yeah.
Thanks, Joel.
We can say it's live recorded here, so we have proof that it was discussed on those very dates, and no one can predate the patent.
That's right. It's live broadcasted. It's out there now.
Yeah. I don't want to. Jonathan, did you have anything to add? I didn't want to skip over you. I don't want to put you on the spot either.
Just in general, I loved all three ideas. They were all things that are useful, as Brian mentioned. Bandwidth is. We all need bandwidth. We all need more bandwidth. There's never enough, and containers are certainly very up and coming. A recently popular technology. They've been around for quite a while. They're not necessarily something new. They've existed for quite a while, but the DevOps movement has certainly brought them to the forefront, along with other technologies. And then Jeff's submission, I don't know if you want me talking about that yet, since we haven't covered it, but is I heart the VCSA, so any improvements to that particular product I think are just great. Especially having had to install vCenter on Windows a few times lately, just losing hours of my life I'll never get back.
Yeah. Okay, great, Jonathan. Thanks. Yeah. So Jeff couldn't be here tonight. I'm going to try and summarize his submission. Hope I do it justice. If it looks like I'm reading from his submission, yes, I am. So let's get that straight right away. He offered up enhanced vCenter server appliance, and what he was thinking was the vCenter server appliance is now embedded with the host installation, similar to the VSA, and the appliances will begin a cluster. Just to get into some of the details of it, because he has some elaborate, he has some great diagrams in his submission. I think we'll see what we can do about getting those up on the website. But his thinking was, and I'm just going to read the paragraph here, and I think this will capture his submission. The database in which vCenter Server Appliance relies upon is now only supported for embedded database options. Upon deployment of vCenter and when a new cluster is built, a new instance of the vCenter Server Appliance will be spawned on each new host. These new instances will perform IPv6 neighbor discovery, and once discovered, will begin initial communication with each other to exchange information. The appliances will begin a cluster election, and a master node will be selected, as well as a backup master node, and the other appliances will become slave nodes. An election will take place to establish the master node as well as backup. Okay, he's already said that. A single virtual IP address will provide access to the vCenter server cluster. So it's an elaborate design, future functionality of how he'd like to see vCenter move. I think it was very creative as well. We got a lot of good feedback from our offsite judges, Mayish. Brian, did you have anything you wanted to add to Jeff's design or to Jeff's feature request?
I thought it should have been in 5.0. I really did. He addressed some pretty big pain points that having that more of a federated model of with Virtual Center and that. It's something that it should have been in 5.0. So I think he did a wonderful job. really addressed an administrative pain point that just needs to be corrected. So that one we should just kind of forward to VMware and leave it at that.
Sure, sure. Jonathan, did you wanna comment on that as well?
Yeah, I mean what I love about the vCenter appliance is kind of the simplicity of it, but it does bring in some new challenges for virtualization administrators who are used to handling things, separate SQL servers, SQL backups they may not be familiar with, backing up the internal Postgres databases and things of that nature. So to have this kind of scale out model that allows you to keep growing your infrastructure and having high availability built in by default, it is just, it would take a lot of sleepless nights away from me.
Great, good stuff. Well, that's all I have for in terms of feature submissions. I'm going to throw it back to Eric.
All right. Well, we can talk about, we did have a smaller subset of feature submissions for a variety of reasons. We had, as always with the Virtual Design Master, it seems like half of our teams are moving all the time. So we did have a couple of our folks who were time constraints on some personal time, as well as some folks who actually are part of the public vSphere beta, and they very nicely have opted out just because they'd kind of had an early exposure to some of the feature set, and they were concerned about going to be tough to cross paths with what could be real versus what could be hypothetical. But again, we are very pleased by the great feedback that everybody gave, and this is going to be a rare occasion. We want to thank, like I said, Joel and Seth. This is really great to have you guys back. We loved your submissions. We thought they were great. The judges had great feedback on all the features. One thing that did come up was there was some pretty wicked diagramming that came up in Jeff's design, and we can share that amongst the rest of the team here. So for today's Flash Challenge, we are happy to award our in absentia that Jeff Wilmington actually did win our Pernix Data prize pack today, and that's going to be a nice, shiny new SSD, as well as his own copy of Pernix Data, the FVP product. So he can use that in his own lab. So hopefully he can test that out and give some feedback to the Pernix Data crew and to the rest of our audience. This is precisely what a Virtual Design Master is meant to do. Not only do we have to look at what's going on right now, we have to think ahead. The idea of being a VCDX is about being very familiar with what's currently going on, as well as what's outside of the ecosystem that we're in today, because you're going to have to integrate with external solutions. And you also have to have that sort of long-term view on what's coming down the path. And as we know, everybody here is at different sort of levels of where they're at in their personal study as well as in their career. And we are dutifully impressed by all of the work that's gone on from all the crew. So again, thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody that's watching. We are really excited by the amount of people that have been watching and giving great feedback. So keep that alive. Don't forget to watch Virtual Design Master, because this is our teaser. This is our final week. As we speak, we are putting the feet to the fire on our remaining 3 competitors. They are in the bare metal cloud, and they've each been given a server. They are working heavily on their final challenge, which is an incredible amount of work. But again, it speaks to the skills and the ability to stretch outside the comfort zone that a Virtual Design Master needs. In Season 1, Akmal Wahid very proudly did that. He persevered through some really interesting challenges in getting work done in order to work with the environment, and overcame that. Jonathan, same thing. We saw great work come out of Jonathan's camp in the work that he did, and again, we're proud to have him back on Season 2. So as we head into our final week, don't forget to join us next Thursday live for the grand finale for Virtual Design Master Season 2. And this is where we are going to review the 3 final submissions, and we are going to crown VDM 002. This is going to be an exciting time. So on behalf of the Virtual Design Master crew, I want to thank Angelo and Melissa and Jonathan, Bye, audio. Welcome back. Thanks again very much, Seth and Joel. This has been great to have you guys back on. We're looking forward to seeing a lot of folks at VMworld. Brian, I know you're going to be there, so it's going to be good to connect. And we encourage anybody that's going to be at VMworld, make sure you reach out to us and get in touch. We'll see some events that are going on down there. We may even have a few giveaways, perhaps. So keep your eyes peeled on the Virtual Design Master hashtag, and watch, of course, virtualdesignmaster.com and see much, much more. And we will see you next Thursday. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.